Rubens Kignel. I am psychotherapist and teacher, and I am here again with all of you, with my dear friend Frank Gallenmuller from Bonn in Germany. Frank is a psychiatrist, and he is specialized, or he likes to work with constellations. So today we shall talk about that, the importance, maybe not the importance, but why constellations are good for psychotherapy, or why constellations is good for people, to go through this environment of constellation.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody of us comes to a certain place in our life where we do things which we don't really want to do, or we behave in a way which we know this is not the right way to behave, or it's not good to do things with other people which we don't want to do. And there's a certain question coming up for most of us at a certain point in our life. Why am I not doing what I really want to do? Or why am I not behaving the way I know, which is much better? And what is interesting is that we can see that sometimes what we are going to do is connected with something which is coming from our origin, which is coming from the field of our family, which is coming from our ancestors. And for me, it's very interesting to find out a little bit about what is the connection between myself and what is behind me, what is going to have an influence on my being, on I behave in life, how the way I am successful or not successful, how I'm dealing with my relationships, how I have a possibility to open myself to life,
yes,
or how I close.
Yes. I always say that we are representatives from our past in the present life,
Yeah.
So we are the consequence of our past life. That's what we are somehow,
Yeah.
And we can change or not this chain, of some repetitions we have from our past life that maybe are not suitable or not good or does not bring well-being to us. And what I realize in the constellations work that I do somehow is that there is a point where the patient, the person that is experiencing the constellation has to experience a new possibility, different than the other possibilities that came from the past. I don't know how do you feel about that?
For me, I would say we have possibilities to change, but the possibilities of changing are limited. And but sometimes we have more possibilities to change something when we really look at what had happened in the history of our forefathers, in the history of our parents. What made our parents be the way they had been? What made our parents behave how they behaved? Why did they give things to us which we didn't like? Why did they give things to us which we liked? And for me, it makes more sense not only to change something, but to have a look what had happened and find some sort of understanding for that. And this is, for me, the main issue of the family constellations, that you have a possibility to find out what happened in your history, in your personal history. What are the connections? What brought from your parents or from your grandparents down to you, but you go further to your children. And if you get some friendly understanding for what had happened, even those things which you don't like too much, because it influenced your life or your being in a certain form, or limited your life or your way of getting into life, it's helpful to find some sort of acceptance, some compassion. And when you find that, you have a little bit more space, and there's already some sort of change. For me, I would say after my 25 years of professional life, I'm not so much convinced that we have possibilities to change really a lot of things. The possibility of change is just a little bit limited. I see it nowadays more limited than I've seen it 10 or 15 years ago. I had much more hope of having possibilities to change. But nowadays I see the most important thing is that we find a way of acceptance. Acceptance of my being, acceptance of the way I am, acceptance of my qualities, acceptance of my limitations. And when I look back to my parents or to my ancestors, I can see what their limitations are, what their qualities have been, and finding a sort of friendly acceptance for that. And that makes it much easier, and it's part of the change I can see nowadays. And for me, the change is more in accepting than really changing.
So this acceptance that you are talking about is like being conscious of what you are.
Yeah.
So consciousness might be the focus we have when we work, so that people get conscious or who they are, you know.
Yeah.
And from that to the future, you just let go.
Yeah, in a certain way. Yeah. Yeah. And most of us have some complaints or some accusations against things that had happened in early childhood, or the way our parents treated us or didn't treat us. And we have complaints. And when I work with people, nearly everybody comes and has something which didn't went out really well. And I have the idea we don't have a possibility, even as parents, to do things really right. And we are always giving something forward, and it's not always only the good things. And the more I have some understanding for why I am doing things in a certain way, and the more I can see that sometimes I do things in a way like my parents did or my grandparents did already, the more I have a possibility to get an idea, what can I do different? Or where can I find something that makes it a little bit more aware of what I'm doing, so that I have a look at my children or people with whom I'm dealing, or people who I love, or people who I want to be good with, that I can change something.
Yes, but as far as I understand, Frank, this little change, sometimes what is little for us is big for the other.
Big for the others, yeah.
You know? So whoever is experiencing this little thing, my experience is the little thing is very big for the person that is experiencing.
Yeah, that's true.
And many times I get to the point where people cannot see if there are new possibilities for the future.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then I think, depending on the way the constellation goes, together with the patient, we might find new possibilities, so that in that new possibility, the patient might find a better being inside himself, an easier way to be. Even if he's conscious of the pain of the past, he can find an easier way to be in life.
Yeah, yeah.
What, do you have this experience too?
Yeah, I see very, very similar like you do. And sometimes when I work, I see that people are very much related to something from the history, and they stay stuck with
they stuck in that.
Yeah, they stuck in there.
Yeah.
They have the idea they have to help their parents, or they have to help someone in the family, or one of the siblings, or they are not allowed just to live a good life because one of the relatives in the family suffering from something, or from some disease, or some difficult fate, or things like that, and they have the feeling they have to stay a little bit humble. They're not allowed to take the life fully, or to really get out into life. And when we work with the constellation, there are possibilities just to let loose part of these very strong connections, and especially in the relationships to siblings and parents, to those people with whom we are very closely connected. And that brings a big relief very often. And sometimes people have the idea they really can help, and they can help their parents, something which I find one of the major issues with the family constellations. That people have the idea they are capable to help their mothers or their fathers from not suffering from something anymore. And when they see their parents in sort of despair, or sort of suffering from something, they try to help, or try to be nice, or try to be in the way like they always did, like children from their first moments on. And sometimes I can see even the adults, they still have some belief which comes from the early childhood, that when I do the right thing, I will make my father happy or my mother happy again, and then I am relieved. Or then they will say, "Oh, you're a good guy, a good boy, or a good girl, and now you can go."
Yes.
And
you get the pass for freedom.
Yeah, in a certain way. Yeah, yeah.
The approval of your parents somehow.
Yeah, yeah. But this is an idea which comes from early childhood, and it's so difficult to get rid of that. And so we stay connected, and we stay connected with the difficult situations of our family, and we don't get the internal allowance just to get out and go on our own path.
Sometimes I think that in our history, our brain, it's organized in a certain way, you know, and we function out of this organization that was given in the system where we grew up, you know? And somehow when we do the constellation, you know, this organization get new interventions or new visions, you know. And then the organization that was maybe sometimes rigid, or in the chaos, or in the rigidity, or in the pain, or all the factors of our emotional life, you know. So when we see, or when we are getting conscious in the constellation, you know, this brain organization is touched by something new, you know, and it modifies the system where we used to think, you know. And when that modifies, then we might have a new organization, so that, for example, we can start to see the good things on our parents, not only the bad things on our parents.
Exactly.
Or we are able to accept the good intention, or the bless from our parents to our life that we are not ready before. So in the constellation that might happen, you know, this new brain organization that is connected, of course, with the body, the emotions,
the heart,
the heart, etc.
Yeah. And for me, this works best when people really get touched, when people really get into some sort of emotional contact, not just by understanding.
Yes, yes.
And this is something which is possible with the work of the constellations. You have a representative representing someone of your family.
Yes.
And that makes it much more easy because you have a living person in front of you, which you easily can relate to as a father, as a mother, or as a sister, as a grandfather, or whomsoever. And that brings up the feelings, and not only thinking about how we are connected or not connected.
Yes, I understand.
That changed a lot.
Mm-hmm. So I agree with you that the heart and the love or the sadness that might open during a constellation, it's a door to changement. No?
Yeah.
So that we work somehow from brain to heart and to viscera, to deep emotions, or we can work also from deep emotions and heart to the brain.
Yeah.
So as we say, like top-down work or down-up work, you know. So connecting the whole system. You know?
Yeah. My experience is with the work of the constellations, you get touched by the heart first.
By the heart first. Yes. Yeah.
And then the brain tries to get what had happened, which sometimes is a little bit difficult. But normally it functions later on, or by explanation or things like that. But the first thing which is going to happen is that something gets in contact with the heart.
With the heart.
We get touched by looking at someone. Sometimes in the constellation, you only need to look at someone whom you placed as a relative, or as someone whom you have a deep connection to, and something immediately going to happen.
And this is also, there are two things I want to say about that. One thing is that we really need the other looking at us so that we are able to make a changement. By yourself is very hard. So we need this exchange of empathy and emotion and look, you know, and presence, so that there is a possibility to move something inside. You know. But I also think that when we start the constellation, you know, when people show the map of the territory where they live, this first moment, it comes from the memories, you know, it comes from the brain somehow, you know. And then when you start the work, the real contact work, you know, and then the heart immediately starts to show off, you know.
I'm not quite sure whether it's really coming from the brain. I would say even when people set up the family, it's a mixture of knowing, of remembrance, and it's some sort of intuition as well. It's some sort of, which I say it's the place which is connected with our soul as well, and there is some knowing, and that's always interesting. People who are really connected with their family or with a certain issue, they know exactly how to put the people at the right place. And you can just show immediately, or you can find immediately a certain dynamic. If you know how to read it, you can immediately get an idea of what had happened between the people whom they set up.
I think this is very important, what you are saying, because in fact we cannot separate brain from heart and everything. So maybe what I want to say is that the first moment is people are using some consciousness, but of course there is some part that comes from the unconscious or the non-conscious together. You know, it's not the stronger thing because it's not conscious, no. But it will become.
It becomes conscious.
It will become conscious, and maybe that's the main thing.
But the interesting thing is sometimes you start more with the unconsciousness, and the unconscious is doing the first step in the work, setting up.
Like for example, people say, I don't know why I'm doing that, but I'm doing that.
I'm doing
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And then they sit down and then they look at what they have done, and then it's getting a little bit conscious.
Yes.
And then they can see, and then they can understand something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
very often, after having done the setting up of the people, they sit and then they start to cry because they see something and they understand something, and it's getting to here, it's getting to here.
Yes. Yes.